The article stems from an ongoing research project on the political economy of public goods provision. It's a topic that I first addressed in my book on the regulation of the railroad industry, published in 2013. In the article, I explore what Léon Walras called moral monopolies, or goods and services of public interest, which he viewed as separate from private goods. My overall motivation is to correct the historical record. For most analysts, Walras, hailed by Schumpeter as the greatest of all economists, is known as one of the three co-founders of the marginal revolution and the father of general equilibrium theory. However, I show in the article that it's a reductive and simplistic characterization of his contribution to economic theory. First, keep in mind that Walras's political economy consists of a tripartite classification: pure, applied, and social economics. Marginalism and general equilibrium were developed in the volume devoted to pure economics, which Walras envisioned as part of a larger work. Unfortunately, most analysts overlook the other two volumes, applied and social economics. My objective is to investigate Walras's applied and social economics by focusing on the concept of public interest goods. The way I proceed is I first undertake an extensive textual and contextual analysis of Walras's writings. I then compare his definition of public goods with the Italian tradition of public finance of the late 19th century, and with more modern approaches developed by Richard Musgrave and Paul Samuelson. I also analyze how Walras's political philosophy influenced his views on public goods. And the takeaway is that for Walras, public interest goods could not be factored into a utility function. It's a sharp contrast with the standard approach in public goods theory. What distinguished public from private goods was the fact that individuals did not feel the need for public goods. Only the state was able to do so, and that was his rationale for government's provision of public goods. And my conclusion is that he developed an organic view of the state. In short, the collective interest could not be reduced to the sum of private interest. In the article, I illustrate this point with two examples. At some point, Walras compared a surgical procedure to a court decision. A visit to the surgeon was motivated by a particular need distinct from other needs. Walras argued that none of that happens in the case of a court decision because all members of society benefit from the decision at the same time as the individual in trial. So it's clear that collective consumption was the main feature of public interest goods. In another instance, Walras asserted that it made no sense to ask, what is the use of the Museum of the Louvre to a farmer in the Low Alps who never sets foot in it? What he meant by that was that individuals felt and assessed the needs for goods of private interest, whereas the state felt and assessed the needs for goods of public interest. There is a question why Walras's public economics has been overlooked, and especially why his public goods theory has been ignored by most, including those who celebrated him. The language barrier is an easy culprit. His applied and social economics were recently translated into English in 2005 and 2010, respectively. But there is another reason. Intellectual biases of later generations of economists led to misinterpretations of Walras's work, and I specifically refer to comments made by John Hicks in the 1930s and Milton Friedman in the 1950s. Walras's marginal utility analysis and his general equilibrium theory therefore overshadow his social and applied work, two significant parts of his contribution that specifically deal with public economics. And finally, Walras certainly did not help his case. He rejected utilitarianism and methodological individualism, two cornerstones of modern economics. He also defended utopian and iconoclastic views, for instance, on taxation and land reform. He opposed both free marketers and socialists. All of this explains why Walras became an outcast in the economic profession.